I'm going to cook some bacon that I got from the butcher counter at my local grocery store. First thing that you want to do, it's very essential, is to preheat the air fryer. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on, and I'm going to leave it on French fries. However, I'm going to adjust the temperature down to 365 degrees. I'm going to leave it on 20 minutes, and I'm going to start the preheat. I have the wire rack in the middle position, and I'm going to do it a little bit different than what I was reading in the manual and their cookbook. They were suggesting to use the baking tray to cook the bacon in. But if you do that, it's going to be cooking in its own grease, and we're trying to get away from grease by using an air fryer. So I've come up with what I think is going to be a better method. I'm going to go ahead and load the bacon up in the air fryer basket, and in the very bottommost position, I'm going to put the baking tray, which I'm going to refer to as a drip pan in this instance, because that way you're not going to have bacon grease dripping onto the bottom heating elements. You really don't want any grease to hit those elements, no matter what. So I just put the bake tray drip pan in the very bottommost position. I'm going to close the door. So let's go ahead and lay some bacon out. I was able to fit 6 strips of bacon inside of the air fry basket. That's not too bad at all. So I'm going to let the preheat continue for another few minutes, and then we're going to go ahead and put in the bacon. So I believe the air fryer is up to temperature now. You can always tell, you'll hear a little clicking noise as the thermostat adjusts, and there's 16 minutes remaining. So a tad over 4 minutes to get to 360 degrees is what I would say. Let's go ahead and put the air fryer basket full of bacon in. This thing does a great job at keeping quiet, because when I open the door, the fan's still going, and it sounds not really loud, but it's evident. Now when you close the door, it's pretty dang quiet. It's not too intrusive. And normally, from my air frying experience at that temperature, it takes around 7 to 8 minutes for the bacon to cook. I like to get it to where it's pretty crisp, but not where it just like breaks apart. So we'll see what this thing does. Join you back in a minute. And if this works out proper, you shouldn't need to flip the bacon. You shouldn't need to rotate the basket. We'll see what happens. Now it's been going about 8 minutes, and I want to say that it's complete. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. Go ahead and open the door and remove the bacon. Oh yeah, nice and crisp. So that's what I'm looking at. Bacon definitely looks nice and crisp without being too crisp where it's going to break apart. It's like the perfect doneness for me, okay? Everyone likes their bacon a little bit differently, so if you like it more crisp, just leave it in longer. Less crisp, leave it in less. But it looks like it did a fine job. When I was looking through the window, I thought that maybe some of the strips are cooking different than the others, but they're really not. They all look totally even. Let's go back up top and sample this. Alrighty folks, here we go. There's that nice bacon I just cooked. Looks so good. Let's give it a try. Oh, this is good. This is real good. Nice and crisp on the outside, a little bit tender inside, which is the way I like it. It is a thicker cut of bacon, not totally thin. This bacon is definitely a hit. It's definitely a win in the Aobosi FM9010 air fryer oven. Totally digging it so far. This time, French fries. I have some Lamb Weston crispy shoestring fries. Normally I go for their crinkle cut, however the store was all out of them. So I got these instead. And on the back of the bag, conventional oven says 425 degrees, and I really like that they put air fryer instructions. Preheat air fryer to 360. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Go ahead and turn on the air fryer oven, leaving it on French fry. Not at 450 though, that'll burn the heck out of them. So we're going to bring it down to 360. And 20 minutes, yeah, I'll leave it on 20 for now. That should be just fine. And it says on the back of the bag that you want to cook for 10 to 12 minutes. And I've cooked these in an air fryer before, a couple different air fryers, And yeah, it's usually right around 11 minutes, maybe 11 and a half minutes. So their instructions are pretty dang spot on. Okay, so the air fryer is up to temperature now. I'm going to go ahead and load up the air fryer basket with some French fries. So I went ahead and put some fries in the air fryer basket. I didn't completely fill it up. And one thing you want to make sure when you're putting fries in an air fryer basket is make sure they are in a single layer, okay? Very important you do that. So let's go ahead and put them in. They're definitely nice and sizzling, and I believe them to be done. I don't know if you could see. Let me go ahead and close this up, put it on a plate, and I'll show you. So they definitely look like they're done. They definitely feel like they're going to be crunchy. I'm going to go ahead and season them with some Red Robin Yum seasoned salt. Love this stuff. Never could get enough. So let's go back up top and I'll check them out with you. All right, so here's the French fries. Let's check them out and see if they're any crispy or whatnot. Oh yeah. They're like a perfect crispy on the outside. I could have left them in there for another minute, but they're actually quite good as is. So there you go, another success. French fries cooked in the Aobosi FM9010 air fryer oven. This time, DiGiorno pepperoni pizza thin crust. So first thing we got to do, according to the directions, is preheat to 400 degrees. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. I'm going to go ahead and put it on pizza mode. I'm going to change the temperature up to 400 degrees and bump the time up. I don't know, 22 minutes should do it. I just want to allow a little extra time for preheating. It's very important you do that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and let it preheat. Next thing you will see is me putting the pizza in the oven. All right, it's up to temperature. Let's go ahead and put in the pizza. I have it on the center rack. It's going right on the wire rack. Close it up. I guess I waited a little bit too long, so I'm going to go ahead and up the time. And on the box it says 14 to 17 minutes. I just set it for 15 minutes. I haven't made this brand in a while, but I know that usually when using air fryer ovens, it cooks faster than the time on the package. So I'll join you back in a few and we'll have some pizza. So it's been over 5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and rotate the pizza. Usually the back end in these air fryer ovens gets done a little faster. So let's go ahead and rotate it around. I bet you it finishes in another 5 minutes. It says there's 9 minutes remaining. There's 5 minutes left on the timer. That means it's been in for 10 minutes. And by looking at it, yeah, I think it's done. I really do. It's all nice and brown. The cheese is nice and brown. Edges look crisp. Let's go ahead and remove it. Let me show you what we're looking at. So that's what we're looking at. Looks pretty decent actually. Let me go ahead and cut some slices. All right, there we go. Slices are cut. I'm going to let it cool down for a few minutes and I'll join you back up top. So there we go. Got some pizza slices here. Hopefully it's cooled down enough. I really don't feel like burning my mouth. Here we go. All right, there we go. So what do I think about this? All right, so the crust, the edges, they definitely got a nice crisp. The toppings are definitely done. Cheese is all melted. Everything's cooked through and through. The center area, it's not so crispy or anything, but it's not bad. The way it is actually pretty dang decent. A lot of times when you put these type of pizzas in an air fryer oven, it gets burnt to a crisp, and it's definitely not burnt. So there you go, DiGiorno's thin crust pepperoni pizza in the Aobosi FM9010. This time I got some chicken wings coming right at you. And I know normally if you want to get them crispy in the air fryer, you want to kind of like soak them in buttermilk and then dredge them through like a flour, paprika, spice type of mix. I've done it a few different ways before, but I'm not going to do it that way this time. I'm just going to put a simple dry rub on them that I put together consisting of Kinder's wood-fired garlic, in addition to some dumpster fire from Hellfire and Brimstone. That way I got all the spices and I get a nice spicy wing. So the first thing we got to do is preheat the Aobosi, right? And luckily my butcher, they print the actual temperature that you should be cooking them at, and that's going to be 350 degrees. So let's go ahead and do a preheat at 350 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and power it on, leave it in French fry mode, change the cooking temperature to 350, and sure, I'll leave it on 20 minutes. Actually, no, because they're going to take a little bit longer to cook than French fries or anything. I'm going to set it at 30 minutes. Start the cycle and go ahead and let the air fryer heat up. So normally what I've noticed with air fryers is at 350 degrees, it takes about 16 minutes to get up to like 165 degrees internal temperature of the wings. And you really don't want to get it past like 170, maybe even 175. Once you do, what happens, the chicken wings end up drying out. So we're going to let the air fryer get up to temperature. Then I'm going to put the wings in the basket, and I'm going to put the drip pan right below, just like I did with the bacon. Same thing. That way none of the drippings or grease from the chicken wings gets on the heating elements. So I've gone ahead and made that mixture of both the seasonings that I mentioned. And my butcher, they offer some pretty big wings. Here's a drum right here, and it's a big sucker, I'll tell you. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the rub to these, and I'll be right back. And just to show you, here's one of the wings that I just rubbed, and the rest are getting the same treatment. All right, so I got 3 chicken wings. That's all I'm going to eat for now, because after this I'm going to prepare a steak and also film that for you guys. And as you can see, these are big wings. 3 of them occupy all of the space, you know. I think your regular sized wings that you get from most stores that are like pre-packed, you could probably fit like 4 or 5 of them in that same space, just to give you an idea how big these are. All right, let's go ahead and put them in. Close the door, and away they go. Check back with you real soon. So right now about 7.5 minutes have elapsed. Now I'm going to go ahead and rotate the wings over, flip them over if you will. Tell you one thing, they are smelling really good. Put them back in, close the door, and away they go. All right, so I've waited about 8 minutes for these to cool down, and they're still kind of warm to the touch, but yeah, I'll go ahead and sample them with you guys. Here it goes. They're super moist inside. Let me see if I could show you how moist these are. So I don't know if you could tell or if it's coming across right, but these are super juicy inside. And wow, the heat level from that dumpster fire, I'm totally feeling it. So you see that? They are totally juicy. Totally delicious. From the wood-fired garlic to the dumpster fire, just wow. Everything worked out perfect. There you go. Chicken wings, big success in the Aobosi FM9010 air fryer. This time I got a T-bone steak. It's not the thickest T-bone I've seen, but I really didn't have a large selection today when I went grocery shopping. So what I've gone ahead and done is applied rub to both sides, and I've also misted it on both sides with olive oil, okay? That way I can let it sit out, get to room temperature this way, and in the meanwhile, let's go ahead and preheat the FM9010. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on, and I'm going to try to use their broil option, which looks like a steak, and then I'm going to go ahead and leave it at 450, and I'm going to up the time to like 22 minutes. That way I know we have enough time to preheat and time left over to cook. So I'll join you back in just a few. It should definitely be preheated by now. There's 11 minutes remaining. And let's go ahead and put the steak in, right? All right, so what I'm going to do is quickly open the door, slide the tray out, put the steak on. Oh yeah, it's sizzling immediately. Go ahead and close her up and see what happens. Now normally I use an in-oven probe, but this is such a thin cut of steak, I don't think that I could barely even get the probe in there. So I'm just going to let it go for 4 minutes aside and see what happens. Oh yeah, and I'm also going to turn the fan on to high so it blasts the heat down on top of it a little more. All right, it's been about 4 minutes, and by looking at the top, it really doesn't look like it's browning per se. But nonetheless, we're going to go ahead and flip it over. And I think next time I try this, I might bump the tray up to the top rack. Then it should definitely get a nice char on top. So let's go ahead and pull it out, flip it over. And we'll let it go for like another 4 minutes or so. In fact, I think I am going to bump it up actually to the topmost position. You sometimes got to experiment with these new devices, and this is no exception. So yeah, bumped it up to the top rack. We'll let it go for 4 minutes. You know, if I want to trust my judgment, I would say it's done now. There's 4 minutes remaining. So that means it's been in there about 6 minutes. So yeah, I'm going to remove it. I really don't want to eat leather, you know. Looks like it started charring on the top, which is good news, because if I do this again, this method, it's definitely going to get a nice char on it. So I'm going to let it rest for a couple minutes, and then we'll cut into it and see what we're looking at. Okay, so that's what we're looking at right now, and it's definitely more well done than I would like. That's why I really like a thicker cut of meat. This is like a super thin cut of meat, and with that, it always ends up cooking in the middle too fast, but it was unavoidable today. So let's go back up top and sample it. So there it is. Like I said, I wish I found a thicker cut so I could get more of like between medium rare. It's so hard to do that with a thin steak. But let's try it. Well, that's good. Definitely nice and juicy. Despite it being a little more well done, very flavorful. So tender. I also want to let you know this is the second steak that I have cooked in there. Originally I found a nice thick cut New York steak. It was like an inch thick, and I filmed the whole thing. It came out perfect, nice medium rare, and somehow I lost the footage. So I had to run back out to the store today, get another steak, which is why you see me in a different shirt. Anyhow, sometimes things happen, and this is one of those times, but on the upside, this steak is delicious. It's tender, it's juicy. So either way, it's a win. I'm totally digging it, and I'm going to finish the rest in peace because I'm hungry. All right, guys, there you have it. Steak in the Aobosi FM9010. This time, it's all about baking a strawberry cake. I got a Betty Crocker Delights super moist strawberry cake mix with bioengineered ingredients. That's what it says. So first, I got to go ahead and prepare the cake mix. While that is going, I'm going to go ahead and preheat the Aobosi air fryer oven. On the directions in the box, it says heat oven to 350, or if using a glass pan, 325. So I am going to be using this Pyrex glass pan. And with that said, I'm going to go ahead and put the Aobosi in bake mode at 325 degrees and get a good preheat going while I go ahead and mix this up. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on the power, and then I'm going to set the function over to bake. And default is 325 degrees, and that's exactly what I need. So I'm going to leave it there. However, I'm going to set the time a lot higher to allow for extra time, and go ahead and start it. There we go. So now it's going to go ahead and preheat, and that's good enough. I'm not going to quite go the whole amount. Let's go ahead and add the strawberry cake batter. Put it about halfway back, close the door. So a lot of people ask for cross sections of stuff. There you go, there's a cross section of the cake. Definitely came out really good. Normally I would frost the cake, but I am like so dang hungry. I'm gonna do the frosting after on the rest of the cake. And here's the slice that I cut out. And yeah, let's give it a try. Savage style with my hands instead of a fork and knife, right? I'm hungry, like seriously. I think I'm losing it. I'm so hungry. I'll tell you what, this is good. It's light, it's definitely fluffy, moist, has a great taste to it. Texture came out perfectly. So I'd say that's a win. In the Aobosi air fryer oven, FM9010, strawberry cake, done. I hope all you guys enjoyed my cooking demonstration videos. It was really a pleasure to do and everything came out really good. So I'm very happy with the performance of this product. Also, I want to give a big thank you and shout out to Aobosi for having me review the FM9010 air fryer oven. It's been a total pleasure to review. And also, in the description down below, I'm going to put a link to their website for Aobosi and also to Amazon where you could purchase this product. Now that I know it passed all my evaluations, I definitely feel comfortable about promoting it. So we are down to the nitty-gritty right now, the pros and the cons. There has to be some, right? I mean, there is no product out there that goes without pros and cons. Everything has its ups and downs. So we're going to go over the cons first, right? I really wish it offered a preheat function, okay? The caloric max that I have offers it. So with that one, when I start a function, whatever function I start, that will start blinking. And when it's up to temperature, it turns solid. I think the same thing should be implemented with the Aobosi FM9010. Also, I wish that the fan operation could be disabled. Right now, they have low fan speed and high fan speed. It hasn't really been a problem. I thought it might be a problem when I cooked that strawberry cake, but nope, it didn't make one difference whatsoever. But I know there's going to be people out there that won't want to have a fan on all the time. So maybe it would be a good idea to make that fan button to be off, low, and high. I think that would be great. Also, I think it would be a good idea to be able to disable the beeping sounds. For me, it's no big deal. The Max that I have, it beeps all the time. This one doesn't beep when I open and close the door. The Max always does. And for some people, I know that can be rather annoying. Maybe they have a baby sleeping. Maybe it freaks out their dogs. Who knows? For me, it's no big deal. I've already tuned it out. Even with my last air fryer, I just tuned it out. But I think people would like to see that. So maybe if you could offer a mute button or some way to turn off the beeper, that would be a great idea. Also, I think the manual is definitely pretty good and well written, but I think they should add some information. For all of the functions that it's able to do, I think they should indicate whether the top elements are being used or both the top and bottom elements are being used. It would take the confusion out of it for some people. I would also like to see a standard air fry option. In fact, the one that's labeled for fries, get rid of the fries. Just make it air fry. Maybe make it a symbol of an oven with a fan blowing or something like that. Because it's kind of misleading. People are going to think, oh, that's for French fries, when it's really your basic standard air fryer function that could be used with anything that you want air fried. So I think it would be a great idea to kind of rename that and update your manual and maybe the icon for it on the oven. And lastly, the only other con that I could think of is I'd like to see the cooking time to be able to be increased to 2 hours. 1 hour is good. For most anything, 1 hour is good. But there are going to be situations where someone wants to cook something slow and low at a lower temperature but longer time. And I think 2 hours would cover most people's cooking needs. Because right now, if you wanted to cook something for an hour and a half, you need to wait for at least a half hour to go by. Then you could go ahead back to the control panel and add an additional half hour. But what if you forget? Then the oven's going to turn off and you're going to have to restart everything. So 2 hour function would be awesome. So let's go over the pros. They definitely outweigh the cons. I really like the build quality of the device. It feels sturdy, it feels solid, it doesn't feel cheap in any kind of way. It's very easy to use. The display is really bright, easy to identify everything, really well laid out. It has plenty of ventilation holes on both of the sides and also the rear. I think that's great to get a lot of good ventilation going. And I really love the operation of the door, how it's got like multi-stage steps that you could open the door to all the way open. Because like my mom, when she was alive, she used to bake cheesecakes for a living. And I remember she would always say, be careful when the cheesecakes are done, you can't take them out right away out of the oven because they'll fall in. So what she would do is leave the oven ajar like that, but not all the way open, and let everything naturally cool down. So it's really nice to see an air fryer oven be able to do that. Big thumbs up on that. Also the handle. I really like that the handle for the oven door, it stays totally cool at all times. No matter how hot the oven is, that handle is nice and cool and easy to grab onto, and it's just such a pleasure to use. Also, I like the dual fan speeds. My previous air fryers definitely did not offer that. They only had fan on or fan off. And it's nice to see the low speed. It's kind of more like a convection oven, and you turn it on high speed and then it kicks it into an air fryer. I think that's an awesome deal. I also like the large see-through window that it's got to be able to monitor your foods. That combined with the light that it has, it makes it really easy to view and see what's going on. I also like the range of temperatures. It could go from 150 degrees to 450 degrees. That's not a bad range at all. 450 is really going to be good for most of your cooking needs. I also like that the dehydrator goes way past 24 hours. I was cranking that knob on like 30 hours. I'm like, okay, I'm done. It's got plenty of time to dehydrate whatever you would like. I also like the quiet operation. It's definitely the quietest air fryer I have from the 3 that I have used so far. When you open the door in the middle of cooking, the fan stays on, and you could hear it. It's evident. It's not super loud, but it's evident. And as soon as you close the door, like everything gets nice and quiet. So I really like that as well. I also like the soft touch button operation. They don't have mechanical switches. You barely touch the button and it activates. Some people like mechanical switches. I personally like the soft touch switches. So for me, that's a plus. Also, not noted in the manual, the bake tray they have to be able to bake things on could be doubled as a drip pan. I think it would be very worthy of them to note that in the manual. That way people don't cook those items and have grease dripping all over the bottom elements. This will definitely increase the longevity of the oven because you really don't want grease dripping on those bottom elements. So I think that would be a bonus if you guys at Aobosi could add that to your manual to be able to call that a bake tray and drip pan. The last pro, their recipe book that they supply. It doesn't have the most recipes in the world, but it has some dang good recipes. And I'll tell you what it's got. It's got simple roasted French fries and chips, air fried chicken, stuffed baked potatoes with spinach and bacon, game day nachos, crab crostini? I don't even know. I don't eat seafood, so maybe I'm not pronouncing that right. And then they got dark chocolate chunk cookies with pecans. Those sound really good. I'd like to make those one day. And lastly, simple rotisserie chicken. I've never made a rotisserie chicken before. In fact, I ran out of time on this video, so I wasn't able to show you the rotisserie. I might come back at a later time with another video to show you how the rotisserie works. Because I do have an aftermarket rotisserie basket that works with my Macs, and I think it'll work in this one as well. Not only that, I'd like to put a tri-tip in there and see how well it does with that. So maybe I'll put out a third video coming up in another couple weeks. We'll see what happens, okay? And the real question is, would I purchase this unit knowing everything I know about it now? Heck yeah, I would definitely purchase it. I really like this unit. The operation is easy. Everything is very effective. It works very well, as you've seen with my demonstrations. So yeah, double thumbs up, like I said. So really, that is about it. If you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, please drop me a line below. I love hearing from you guys and interacting with you. Because as much as it is my channel, it's your channel too. So definitely, I encourage you guys to engage with comments. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I got all kinds of good stuff coming up. And with that said, gonna wish you all a very stellar day. Be excellent. And most of all, remember me. I'm KJ Andy O, your food experience host with the most. Y'all take care, and I'll see you next time.